In Chapter 191 of Jujutsu Kaisen, we saw the return of Naoya Zen'in as a vengeful cursed spirit. How exactly did this happen, and what does this mean for the series going forward? Well, that's what I'm going to talk about in today's video. But as always, before we get into that, if you haven't already, you should definitely be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe so you don't miss any future Jujutsu Kaisen videos. Ever since Naoya was killed back during Perfect Preparation, there's been a fairly popular theory that he would come back as a vengeful spirit, making him the first character that we've had previously established, then killed, come back as a cursed spirit. This was for a number of reasons, most of them surrounding around the exact circumstances of Naoya's death, the most notable factor being that he was killed without any cursed energy. It was established by Principal Gakuganji back during the Goodwill event that killing sorcerers without the use of cursed energy is extremely risky because when you don't do so, you risk their released cursed energy manifesting into a vengeful spirit. So you want to use cursed energy to ensure that they are killed without that risk being created. In Naoya's case, he was killed by Maki's mother, someone who, as far as we can tell, either doesn't have the cursed energy of a sorcerer or doesn't know how to use it, and she killed him with a normal kitchen knife. In addition to that, his cursed energy was apparently going rampant at that time. He was having trouble controlling it. So that, in combination with the circumstances of how he was killed, led a lot of credence to the idea that he would come back as a vengeful spirit. In addition to that, now he's just kind of an asshole. He's a bad person that's already full of a lot of negative energy, so it's not really that surprising that upon his death, he would be full of enough negativity to manifest as a fully fledged vengeful spirit. Some people have argued that Maki not killing Naoya or not using a cursed weapon to try and kill him is a bit of a plot hole. I don't entirely disagree with that, but I do think there are some plausible explanations as to why Maki didn't kill him or use a cursed tool to kill him. First off, she could have just expected that punch to kill him. It did really lay him out. He looked like he might have died from that. In addition to that, Maki might have chosen to let him live because he was someone that had always beaten on her, and she was forced to live in the shame of that, and she may have wanted to force him to experience the same sort of thing. I imagine it'll be something that'll be expanded upon in Chapter 192, as obviously Maki is very surprised by Naoya's return and will probably be thinking back to what happened during Perfect Preparation. So I imagine we'll be getting a little bit more of an explanation in regards to that in the next chapter or so. Now that Naoya has returned as a vengeful spirit, what exactly can we expect from him in terms of power? Well, we already see in Chapter 191 that he seems to still have projection sorcery, and the power of it seems to be greatly amplified. When he projects himself forward, the force of it is powerful enough to shatter windows in the street around him, which is a much more significant showing of power than we saw from him back when he was alive as a human sorcerer. Other than that, he's presumably got quite a bit of an amp to his physical abilities. Obviously, his anatomy is significantly different, him being a big worm thing now, so the exact movements that he'll be able to pull off will be quite different. But in addition to that, I do have a little bit of theory crafting in regards to this new form of his. First thing, it's very notable that Naoya's face comes out of one of the holes in the worm's head, but it's not the only hole, there are 5 others. It's possible that this vengeful spirit is not just Naoya, but is instead a vengeful spirit manifesting the collective negative energy left behind by the Zen'in. This does sound very cool and somewhat plausible. However, I'm not sure exactly how likely it is, given that most of the other Zen'in members were killed using cursed tools, and as such, probably couldn't manifest as a vengeful spirit, but I would be willing to accept a mild amount of inconsistency for the sake of what could be a really cool concept. Because if this is a collective vengeful spirit, that means we could see the return of characters such as Ogi and Junichi, who didn't really get to show off that much and could see their curse techniques utilized again and possibly with even greater power. And not just that, we could also see them used in conjunction with each other's techniques. And as you know, combo attacks are always really, really cool, so that would be really interesting to see. The second thing is that this vengeful spirit should only be a few days old at this point, and while initially I thought that it looks like a worm, some people have suggested that it actually looks more like a caterpillar, which suggests that maybe, possibly, it's going to evolve during the fight. It's possible that this vengeful spirit is still a cursed womb due to how new it is. And that means we could see it evolve, or shed its current form and turn into a far more powerful, complete vengeful spirit during this fight, with, if my first theory ends up being correct, all of the Zen'in clan techniques combined together. That could be extremely interesting and make for a very good fight. Also, it would be really interesting for Maki to fight off against a vengeful spirit of the entirety of the Zen'in clan simultaneously. I just think that would be really interesting. Do I think we are going to get any more cases like this in the future, with dead characters being resurrected as vengeful spirits? No, I don't. Because the cause of Naoya being resurrected as a vengeful spirit was incredibly significant for Maki's character and the story, and I don't really expect us to get anything of that caliber replicated again. It just wouldn't really feel as significant as it happened again. So I personally imagine that this is probably going to be the only time that this happens, so it remains kind of a special event in the story. Now, of course, I expect Maki and Kamo to pull through with this one and defeat Naoya, but I also expect it to be a really good fight. So, we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens. Unfortunately, Jujutsu's on break this week, but, Gege needs his rest. The man always needs to cool down a little bit, collect his energy before he begins work on some true greatness. So, I've got no problems with that at all. If Gege wants to produce a really goddamn good fight, I'll wait as long as I have to. So with that, that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Jujutsu Kaisen chapter reactions and reviews every week that we get a new chapter. If you enjoy discussing Jujutsu Kaisen with other people, or just enjoy the content I produce on this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I have a link to that down in the description. And since it's the end of the video, I might as well give a shout out to my wonderful patrons. Special thanks to Neo, Dijon Redden, K-God, Chris Redfield, Rat, Ryzen 4K, Artist, Wave of Manga, Sam the Ace, Chuck Speed and Seed, Jakester EZ, Playfree Labs, Kenichi Kaneda, Strawbones, Neverest, Daniel Powell, Brandon Smith, Abdullah Algathi, and Corey Richardson. Thank you all very much for supporting me on Patreon. I greatly appreciate it. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.